Hello and welcome, music lovers, to the Crossover Deep Dive. My name is Natasha Barbieri, and I will be your host. I am a singer and also the creator of Crossover Music Magazine. On this show, we will be exploring both the business and human side of making music. Our goal is to help support artists and also to just promote good music. Our motto is celebrating musical excellence beyond genres. This is our first show that will be featured on Channel 10, and so as a way of introduction, I wanted to feature some of the amazing artists we've had a chance to speak with in the past. Before we do that though, let's go into the question, well, what is crossover music? Quite literally, you could say it's something like Renee Fleming going from singing opera into doing a jazz album, or recently Beyonce moving from her typical style into country with Cowboy Carter. But crossover can really be anything. It does typically have that just element of tradition and innovation. And that's one of my favorite kinds. Classical crossover really encapsulates that. Classical crossover has a very long history. Classical composers such as Bartók and Copland have been using the tradition of bringing in folk music to symphonies and other forms of classical music. In the days of the golden age of Hollywood, we had stars like Mario Lanza, Kathryn Grayson, Deanna Durbin, and they helped to bring classical repertoire to everyone and also introduce new standards. When it comes to classical crossover especially, Sarah Brightman has been a very important artist in its development. She is from England, and although she originally started in a dance group called Hot Topic, she eventually moved to the West End stage, originating roles in Cats and also Phantom of the Opera. She was the very first Christine Daae. And then taking this wide experience that she had, Sarah began creating new music, her own form of crossover.
Well, the thing is, it was really a combination of things. It was never particularly calculated.
Okay.
It was just that I think I had been singing, I'd had pop records out, I'd been singing in musical theatre, I'd been training in the classical way for classical singing, and I have a very eclectic taste of music. I know a lot about all different types of music, and because I traveled quite extensively through my life, I was, world music is like, it's a thing that is a sort of normality then, but then sort of further back, it wasn't such a normality. So, and I had a lot of that repertoire in my mind because I'd heard so much of it in my younger days. So it was really just a combination of all those understandings of all the different types of music and all the different ways that I sang just started naturally coming together. And so, I mean, classical crossover, it really was the word, I suppose, was put there because there was nowhere to put people like myself that could combine all these things very naturally. So I think they just created a form for charts, basically, at that time when there were those kind of charts. And classical crossover then, as you know, was for sort of odd film bits and bits of jazz and something, that sort of thing. It wasn't really used that much for singers. But it's now become a proper genre.
The genre has evolved significantly since Sarah first came onto the scene. Some of the major performers now are Andrea Bocelli, Josh Groban, and Il Divo. My colleague Joanna and I had the chance to catch up with Il Divo on the celebration of 20 years of them making music.
There are so many standout moments over 20 years. It's impossible to really narrow that down. We were not a band before we were put together. The four of us were plucked from our solo careers. Worth and I brought in from the opera world. Carlos, having done pretty much everything under the sun. He was performing since he was 6 years old. And Sebastian was working on his second solo pop album in France. And the four of us were basically put into a room and said, make some music, make something we can all be proud of, which we did. We gave 100% into that first album, and it really translated in terms of Simon's vision for us, the record company at large, the international labels all getting together, watching our showcase, and really going, this is something new, this is something different, this is something amazing, let's all get behind this. And they did. And they put us everywhere. We went to countries that we had never been to, cities we had never been to, performed for dignitaries, done duets with legends like Barbra Streisand, Toni Braxton, having moment after moment after moment after moment. It just became like this continual flow of incredible, incredulous moments for us. Yeah, it's almost impossible. It's a fairy tale story. It's very, very Cinderella story. And I've given you a kind of a smattering of the different things. I haven't said like what was the standout moment, but there's just been so many unbelievable moments for us.
Instrumental music is another really important part of classical crossover. You've probably already heard these classicalized versions of songs. On the hit Netflix show Bridgerton, you'll hear things like Taylor Swift's Wildest Dreams or Pitbull's Give Me Everything in these pivotal moments, and they're taking this pop music that we all love and giving it a classical treatment. One of the biggest duos in crossover instrumental music are the Piano Guys. I was able to speak with John Schmidt a little bit about how they mix different genres together.
And it was interesting because Steve had a real classical background growing up as well. And so it's really incredible how we both had this musical tendency to mix the old and the new. Mm-hmm. And we saw eye to eye on that. It was a real uncanny unity that we felt when we eventually started writing together. I would pull him right into the studio. I think the first real hit that we produced together was on an early album of mine, pre-Piano Guys. We took Pachelbel's Canon and we combined it with U2. And it was called Pachelbel Meets U2. And, we tried to literally mix an old song with a new song. And it was so well received as we did it in our shows that we're like, wow, this is cool to mash up old or, two different things. It seemed to be very intriguing to people musically. And I think it's a cool concept just in general to do a mashup type concept. I think it really makes people intrigued.
In order to find themselves as musicians, it often requires going beyond the schooling and even the preconceived notions that you have being part of a specific genre, and then being able to completely reimagine music and also create original music.
My inspiration growing up was a lot of film scores and also classical music, but also I was really as a pianist, I was really into some of the new age artists that were really popular when I was a teen, like George Winston and David Lanz and Michael Gettle. And I would just play those as like my fun pieces outside of the classical stuff I was learning. And so when I started writing my own music, I don't know, I just took this approach of like, what do I want to hear? What do I want to play? And I really didn't know what I was doing because with a classical background, it was just very structured and very like, you must do this, you must do this. And to have the freedom to actually write stuff, it almost was like, well, can someone just tell me what to do? Because I don't really know. So it was definitely like a learning process. My first album, I'm very proud of it, but it was also like such a learning experience. And I look back on the tracks on there and I feel like I've grown so much since that album. And
you know what? It's different for every project. I feel like for this one, what was really, fun about it in a way was that it was very raw. Like at the beginning, I just took my phone and recorded some vocal things, or I set up a microphone. And I set up a microphone and I recorded some tracks, just me howling. This is how So She Howls came about.
Amazing. Because that's so raw, isn't it? Just getting that emotion out of you.
Getting it out and like not even thinking about the arrangements or anything. Just that feeling needed to come out. And there were no lyrics. And I think because I had no words, I just needed this raw body sound, you know, coming out of my voice.
There was no music. There was like, and my drummer would be like, Laura, sing, just sing. And I was like, what do I sing? There's no lyrics. I need to figure it out. And that was a very, very new, uncomfortable feeling that I started to sit with. And a lot of singers will say that they relate to when that happened to them in their life at that point, to be able to improvise, to learn to just sing what comes out of the mouth and figure out who you are. And that was a really big discovery period for me. And I'm so grateful that that happened, because that set me on a very, very clear path of being a songwriter, learning, you know, that I think I took the right path in terms of honoring that, I guess, rebellious spirit that I had in me to do something unique and original, you know, because I had to learn what my voice wanted to do.
Yeah.
Up until that point, I was really afraid to let that side of me out. And that's mainly because in my early days of being a professional, I was told by everybody around me that I needed to pick one path, because the music industry needed to put me in a box.
Yeah.
So they knew where to put me. I needed to fit into a pigeonhole. And that always grated on me. I never appreciated that. It was not something that ever felt natural. I think because I'd grown up singing all different kinds of stuff. And there's a marvelous saying in one of my grandma's old singing books, which says that the voice has the ability and the power to paint in sound the color of human emotions. And when I read that, I just thought to myself, when have human emotions ever fitted into a nice, neat little box? When has that ever happened? And then, and why should we make our emotions fit into this tiny, neat little box? Why would we do that? And so if I wanted my voice to be able to paint in sound all the different colors of all the human emotions, why should I put myself in this box? So I thought, well, if I want to be able to do that, I should start singing more stuff and not be afraid to step out of the box, because it's scary when you're going against something that you've been told by so many people for so long. That was really quite a scary thing. But then I thought, well, if I like all this different type of music, I can't be the only person. Surely my fans and supporters will also like lots of different genres like myself. And if I can show them that we've actually got more in common than we thought, surely that just develops the friendships. It creates stronger bonds. And I love my fan base and my supporters so much that I want to have more of a bond with them. And if we can find other ways in which we can connect, then surely that's a really wonderful thing. This was my hope. I didn't know how it would go down, but I'm glad to say that once the initial shock had passed, that was the response I got. I had people messaging me saying, that is one of my all-time favorite songs. I can't believe you can sing it like that. So I started putting up more songs, like some Tina Turner songs, River Deep Mountain High and stuff like that. And the reaction I've got has been so much warmer than I ever even hoped for. And it has just strengthened those bonds with my fans and supporters. And I'm just so grateful for that.
As we mentioned before, going to see singers on the big screen was very important in the early days of crossover, and it continues to be. Reality television shows have helped to launch the careers of several promising crossover stars.
Well, my family and I think it was every Saturday or Sunday that we watched things like Holland's Got Talent and The Voice Kids, because it was so fun for us to watch all these young talents. And also sometimes, you know, if there was a part off key, my brother enjoyed that particularly a lot. But I always thought it looked so cool to like see someone in a box. I was, of course, very little and didn't understand it very well, but I was like, wow, that's so cool. You can see someone on this box like from everywhere. And it was just like a kind of dream of mine to just be on TV, but it was never with the goal in mind to win a competition. It was just to be in the box so that all my friends could see me.
I think that certainly that there is an element of wrongness to it, but I think that we, as people, we are drawn to that. Even I am guilty. When I see someone, my brain, my instincts make a snap judgment. And I think that it is actually the willingness to be proven wrong that is the most important for us to learn. It's fine to have your instincts make a snap judgment about someone. I think. I could be wrong, but I think that what is not fine is if you are then impossible to convince that you might be wrong.
No, so I will tell you, I mean, I look back at that video and I cringe every single time. Because they said to me, we want you to sing what you want. So I was like, right, okay, well, I'll sing a song that they haven't heard before. And then they said to me, no, you've got to sing Who Wants to Live Forever. And so, because they will choose the songs for you. Yeah. And so they said, have a few lined up, but it'll only be like 30 seconds or a minute of each song after that. So I was like, fine, I'll only learn parts of the songs. And then Simon put his hand up, because I already said Who Wants to Live Forever was in the wrong key for me, which they still gave me that key. I had to do it. And he put his hand up and said, this is a really bad audition. So that's what you don't see. And I literally was mortified. That's why I was shaking. I was like, I've just disgraced myself on national TV. Only to do it again, which was when I sang Visitarte, they then carried the track on and they weren't stopping. And I was standing there like, I'm having to make up some of the words. Wow. Which I did. Yes, which I did. So if you look back at that video, there's like the second half of it, I'm just making it up. And I remember some of the real opera buffs going, she didn't know the words. And I was like, no, because I haven't told you that they only required 30 seconds of it, but they carried it on.
Oh my goodness. So then they give the backing track and everything. It's not like you come with that. That's terrifying.
Yeah, so they can just say, no, continue. And you could be standing there and not know it. But I just thought, he's already said that this is really bad audition. I can't make them think that I don't know this song. And obviously I'd listened to it a few times. So it was just a few words that I was getting a bit mixed up because obviously I didn't know it fully. Yeah. And so I just blagged it and then they were like, we didn't know that piece of operatic aria. We didn't know it, but it was wonderful. I was like, well, I felt like saying I didn't know it either.
Everyone dreams about having the opportunity to sing in front of America and the world. Yeah. And honestly, I would say it was the right place at the right time. And I think that I'm very grateful that it was that year when I was 25. It's always terrifying when you perform anything in front of Simon Cowell, whether it's a cover, but if it's an original, it's, just that extra bit of, crap your pants scary. Yes. Basically singing to Heidi Klum for most of the audition. Good choice. She is such an angel, just one of the sweetest human beings on the planet. And I, as I'm singing to Heidi, and then all of a sudden Simon throws his hand in the air and stops you. And as all of us that have ever been in an audition know, that's not good. That's not what you want. No, but with Simon, that's something that people won't necessarily know about him until they've had the chance to be in a room with him, is that he is such an incredible, what we would call a song guy. He knows instantly. He's such a great producer to know what's going to work the best for any artist he's in front of at any given time. And there was something about my sound that he really wanted to hear on this other song. And I'm eternally grateful to him for having me learn it. I know we'll tell the story briefly. He put his hand up and he said, I like that song, but I think there's another one that could be a hit for you. And that song, I don't think you'll know it. It's not one that's well known, but I think you'll kill on it. And it's called Passerà. And I'm in my head scanning through every song I've ever heard in my life, and the hard drive's coming up blank. I'm going, hey, okay. And he says to me, I want you to go off stage and learn it, and then I want you to come back and sing it for me. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, we're gonna maybe come back and do this tomorrow. maybe another time.
Yes.
No. He meant in an hour. So I had an hour to go backstage and throw the phone up to my ear and just listen to this song. And they gave me a lyric sheet that I have framed in my house.
Of course, as I mentioned at the beginning, although classical crossover is my favorite, so we do tend to focus a bit there, we love to feature music from all different kinds of genres. So here are 2 clips from performers from the fabulous Celtic group, Celtic Woman.
I was 19 and I heard on the radio that they were doing auditions for a professional production of The Wizard of Oz in the Olympia Theatre here. And so I went along to that and had a week long, of callbacks and stuff, and got the role. And the production manager on the show at the time was opening up an agency. So she became my agent and I stayed with her for over 20 years. And so worked mostly here in Dublin, and then went away to London and toured with Les Mis, and then ended up doing another show after that, The Beautiful Game. Had my son, came home, did a lot of musicals and a lot of concert work. I did a lot of concert work throughout Europe and Scandinavia with different orchestras, and then ended up in Celtic Woman in 2008. So my background was very heavily musical theatre and concert work, and then ended up in Celtic Woman 2008.
I remember David calling me. I was also overdue on Jack, and I remember David calling me early in August going, "Have you not had that baby yet?" I was like, what? So it was hard. So I really wasn't, again, maybe I'm just better when I'm not in the zone, but I really wasn't in the zone when we started this whole Celtic Woman process. And it was very, nobody really knew where this was going or what it was. I didn't know the girls. I hadn't met them, except for Chloe. I knew Chloe. But, Chloe was a child to me. And so I knew her, but I didn't know the other girls, and everything was very quick, and it was PBS. So it was just all like, just get it done. And it was very overwhelming. So when the night ended, I was like, oh, grand, that's fine. That's over. Never did I think I would get a call to go and promote it in New York in the following March. So, but it was like honestly, best time of my life. It was amazing.
I love speaking to established performers, but it's also fabulous when we can feature new and up-and-coming talent. In 2023, Crossover Music Magazine hosted our first competition to find a new star, and we were delighted to crown as our winner, Stephanie Horowitz-Mulry.
I started getting this pang, when I would see a show, I used to. I would see a show or see a concert and be like, why am I not doing this? Why am I not auditioning for this? Why am I not submitting for this? And I was like, why are you bothering me with inspiration right now? Why are you making me feel this way? I can't step forward anymore. I've seen too much and I've been through too much. I'm not perfect anymore. And this very overwhelming wisdom from wherever came and said, then you step out imperfectly and you be broken and you be unfinished and unhealed, and somebody else will see you do that and feel okay to step out also, and just own it. Just be okay with the fact that you're not perfect, because even if you think you are, you're not. So that's where this song came from. I really feel like it was like me almost rebirthing myself in a way, because it's like I'm here, but I'm not the same as I was, and that's okay.
The girl that I used to be. Where were you then when I was fearless? Life has battered and broken me, so far from where I'm supposed to be, and yet you pieces. And I can't meet you at the top where there's glory, but I know down here at the bottom there is grace. So here I stand just as I am. Do you receive me? Here I am, worse for the wear. Do you see me? I am bruised, I am broken, but I am blessed, broken and blessed. From the wreckage I saw the glow. I heard the message I need to know. It gave me the strength to reawaken. And I can't offer you perfection, but I know if I can't be perfect, I can be brave. So here I stand, just as I am. Will you receive me? Here I am, worse for the wear. Do you see me? I am bruised, I am broken, but I am blessed, broken, and I don't have to be perfect to be deserving. I can stand in my purpose and be worthy, worthy of your praise, worthy of your grace. Here I stand, just as I am. Do you receive me? Here I stand, worse for the wear. Do you see me on my quest? I am brave, I am broken, I am here, and I am blessed, blessed, broken and blessed.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed this journey through our interview archives. We'll pull more episodes from the vault in the future. But for now, please continue to tune in here to Channel 10. You can also watch us online on the Crossover Music Magazine YouTube channel. I really appreciate you tuning in, and I hope until next time that you will continue to expand your appreciation for different kinds of music.